This is going to be the story of the last Cambodian tiger. Now, when I first went to Cambodia, this guy's a tiger. When I first went to Cambodia, see the tape on him? When I first went to Cambodia, they had like souvenir shops. And the souvenir shops had stuff that was like from the 40s, 50s, 60s, like old. Like, these would just be in like a souvenir shop. These are Buddhist things, Buddha in the hand. This one, when I first saw it, I thought it looked like a bomb, like it was from the war or something. But that's a Buddhist shell symbol. That's pretty common. But anyway, I got those in like souvenir shops there for tourists, and they had all kinds of really neat stuff like that you'd never see in like a tourist place anymore. So I collected that stuff. I got all kinds of really neat stuff, and so anyway, in a lot of places they have these like repousse or whatever they are, these pressed brass things or bronze things. This tiger is hollow. So anyway, what happened is, I'll open it for you later. But anyway, what happened was I went and I had a whole bunch of this stuff. And if it's a Buddhist symbol, you're not allowed to export it from Cambodia without the proper papers and all that stuff. So I'm staying in a hotel that was down by the riverfront, 136 and 15th Street, and called the Sun and Moon. And across the street they had a bunch of tuk-tuk drivers. And I've been staying there for years and years and years. Probably 10 years on and off. I know all the tuk-tuk drivers there. We have a love-hate relationship. Like they're always trying to play their, they've got their way that they do things, and you got your way they do things. But it's all in all, I mean, I know them forever, and differences are ironed out. But anyway, so I've got all these Buddha statues and all this stuff that I've been buying, and I wanted to get them out of the country. So I was taking the tuk-tuk to the ministry. You got to get a letter from the ministry with permission. And what they'll tell you is if you got a couple of items, you just put it in your suitcase and take it, and nobody's going to argue with you if it's not like a looted antiquity or something that's like a heritage thing. But if it's like a brand new Buddha that's polished brass that was made in 2024, and it's made for export, and it's wrapped in saran wrap and sold at a tourist shop, technically you can't leave with it unless you have a permit, but they accept you putting it in your suitcase and stuff like that. So there's sort of a gray area there. So anyway, I didn't want to play around because I'm a Cambodian citizen. I applied for my citizenship, and it's like, I don't need to smuggle a bunch of stuff out. I was actually going to bring it back here to my apartment, where I've got a huge collection of like sacred artifacts. Hello, Mr. Crow. So anyways, I get the guy to drive me out there, and the tuk-tuk driver decides that he's a middle-aged guy, and he speaks pretty good English, this particular one. And he says he's gonna, I actually got him to go with me because he speaks English well. I needed him to translate at the ministry's office. Now I can speak reasonable Khmer for the market and stuff like that, but when you start to get into complicated things and that, no, I'm lost, and that's something I do need to work on. So anyway, we get there, and I've got all this stuff, and he says, okay, I know a guy who works with the government and all this stuff, and he can get you all the exports certificates, all the papers, all the stuff, and do it legally. So if we take it all to him, works with the ministry, all that stuff, and it's like a logistics place. They got an office, the whole bit. You go in, it looks like any like a FedEx place here. You know what I mean? Like it's a storefront, the whole bit. The guy's there. He's like 55-year-old man, and he's like, this is his business, the whole bit. So anyway, he says, okay, for $600 we can get all this stuff exported, and with the tiger and everything, and we can ship it to your son's house, and he can hold it for you. I didn't want to ship it to, I wanted to ship it somewhere where they could, my kid could get it for me, whatever. So I said, okay. I gave him the $600 and I leave. And what they did is they stuffed everything into the tiger. That's why he's got tape on him here, and it can't. So what they did is they stuffed everything into the tiger. It opens up. Anyway, it opens up. They stuffed all the stuff into the tiger and taped it up with this yellow tape. They didn't talk to the ministry and anything like that, and they just tried to ship it. And they charged me the $600. Well, of course, the ministry, I already talked to them. They already knew about it. And like, there's not that many foreigners around that are exporting You know what I mean? Like once you talk to them, they know. Like it's like this stuff comes up. It's not a huge like there's not a huge number of tourists leaving with a bronze tiger. You know what I mean? So it's like the guy looked at it and thought, oh, this guy. And so anyway, they open it up. Of course, they find all this stuff, and it's a it's like a criminal matter. But I had paid these guys, and I had a receipt and the whole thing. I did it completely legitimately. So anyway, they came to the hotel. You know what I mean? I talked to them. I showed them. They knew I wasn't guilty. And of course, the tuk-tuk driver's nowhere to be found for a couple of weeks. And anyway, so yeah, I had to. So for a while there, I had to be super careful with my suitcase in and out, any Buddhas, anything like that, because I was on the list of whatever. But anyway, eventually they let me take all the stuff. The guy, he called me up and said, just put it in your suitcase, take it. It's not a problem. So that's the story of the last Cambodian tiger. So now I got him here, and that tape they put on just won't come off. So anyway, yeah, so that's the story of this kind of stuff. And I'll be showing you this kind of stuff in the future, but there it is.